Hickenlooper, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank all of you for being here today, but also for your public service. Let me start with Mr. Atkinson. As you know well, Boulder, Colorado is home to many federal labs that improve our communication service. Institute of Telecommunications Sciences, ITS, Public Safety Communications Research Lab at the National Institute of Science and Technology campus in Boulder, and then the FirstNet Authorities Lab. Now at the FirstNet Lab, science and engineers do the R&D and perform a whole variety of tests to ensure the public technologies, so things like drones and mobile towers, are seamlessly integrated across the network. This research, I guess you call it cutting edge research, is possible because of the state-of-the-art facilities and the equipment, and also, and especially, due from the highly trained workforce that's there. So as board chair, Mr. Atkinson, how is FirstNet Authority recruiting and retaining the best engineers and the best scientists at the Boulder Lab to make sure that our public safety communications network performs as intended?
Thank you, Senator. Obviously, you're talking about some of the most technical and capable communication professionals there are, right? And at the end of the day, we reinvest back into our staff because similarly to our vendor, AT&T, we understand that to move to the next level, whether that's Z-access, whether that's an implication of singularity between LMR, land mobile radio, and these things, it is critical to have the best and brightest. Now, as far as how those folks are retained and hired, I have to defer that to NTIA. That's more in their area of operation. But I have to tell you, there is quite a bit of discussion among the board, and I'll segregate that among the board to say, are we being competitive in hiring the best and brightest in what we do? Because that's what it takes to drive this forward. And from a taxpayer standpoint, to Senator Moreno's point a minute ago, these are still public funds, i.e. it's the public's trust, right? These fees are the public's trust. And so the board takes that very seriously, that part of this technology at that lab is to make sure that we are getting the best technology from our vendor as well too. So I think it's an opportunity to maintain the best and brightest. That may be something from a salary standpoint, recruitment standpoint, we may have to go back to NTA on that, but I absolutely concur that that's what we need.
And as the network modernizes its towers and network core to improve service to first responders, what role do you see for FirstNet's lab? You know, what's that role going to play as this modernization goes forward?
You know, I mean, listen, Moore's Law is roughly, 18 months on obsolescence. The way things are changing now, I think the lab is going to be at the cutting edge of determining what is capable and what are we envisioning. Because I can tell you, even 6 and 7 years ago, AI was not part of this discussion. It will be part of the discussion going forward, right, both from a national security standpoint as well as the service we provide to our members. There, we haven't talked about it, but there's the Internet of Things. And sometimes when we're talking about all these different lines of service, I think people forget that it also includes video cameras, things like body cameras. I saw a board member who is also a doctor as well, able to perform, medical assistance from 800 miles away.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That is what's coming.
Absolutely. Let me switch over to Mr. Agnew, Mr. Davis. So whether someone's hiking in the mountain ranges above Telluride, or they're watching a hockey or a basketball game in Ball Arena in downtown Denver, Colorado's first responders are almost always on the front lines of keeping our citizens safe. So in public safety emergencies, reliable wireless communications can mean the difference between lives saved or a tragedy striking a community. And that's why transparency, I think, in how communication networks are managed and upgraded is so essential. So, Mr. Agnew, Mr. Davis, in delivering communication service to public safety leaders, how would you describe your process for demonstrating where your network coverage is densified and where it really needs upgrades, specific geolocated upgrades.
Senator, thank you for that question. And FirstNet has unprecedented transparency as we provided, and thank you, Governor, at the time for opting in. We provided state plan portals to demonstrate the exact build over the course of the initial 6 years. We've also provided what's called a network status tool that public safety can look real time where existing coverage is. In addition, through outreach by the FirstNet Authority and AT&T network coverage workshops, we show the public safety community. In Colorado, it happened on September 25th, where the coverage has been built and where the coverage is going. Also during that time, public safety gets to identify the areas where they build what we call public safety specific sites. These aren't sites that are economically viable for AT&T. These are where public safety needs it. And so as part of the $8 billion reinvestment that FirstNet is making over the next 10 years, that is where that sites are going to come from. That is why FirstNet has nearly 3 million miles square covered and 200,000 more. And in fact, just in the opt-in process alone, just commenting on Colorado, you had 31 specific sites that were built based off of direct feedback from public safety, not corporate AT&T.
Good to hear that.
That's a great question, Senator, and I've spent a lot of time in those mountains and Telluride, so I know very well those challenges.
Lucky man.
So some of the things that we do is we have a process around transparency and capturing customer feedback. We do quarterly roundtables with public safety professionals. So in your great state, we have nearly 50% of the market share. So over 50% or nearly 50% of those first responders are choosing something other than FirstNet. So it's important to hear that feedback on what's working and what's not working. We also have a wireless network performance tool that shows coverage where you can request physical assets if you need deployable assets. We also work very closely with all the states on the coverage. And this is why it's so important that competition and innovation is important, because if FirstNet Authority funds a tower, let's say in rural San Juan County, all public safety providers should be able to take advantage of that tower, not just one commercial carrier.
Fair enough. Thank you. I yield back the floor.